Now, Brexit has once again been on the agenda in Brussels as Leo Varadkar, Irish Prime Minister, met with European Council President Donald Tusk and EU Chief Negotiator Michel Barnier. The Irish border is a sticking point in Brexit talks. Here's what Varadkar had to say.
Any sort of trade arrangement must have a level playing field. We couldn't have a situation whereby UK businesses still had access to European markets, but at the same time were able to lower wages, lower labour standards, lower environmental standards, lower health and safety standards, lower product safety standards. So in order to free trade, you must have fair trade as well and a level playing field. And I think that would be a concern for all member states.
Well, let's get a little more on this. From Brussels now, our correspondent Shona Murray joins us live. Good morning to you, Shona. What are the consequences for... Good morning. What are the consequences for Ireland in the case of a no-deal Brexit?
Well, really, they're quite grave, but the gravest is, of course, the impact on the Good Friday Agreement, which is the 20-year-ago peace deal that was signed to end 3 decades of conflict between Northern Ireland in Northern Ireland. And so the implications would be that if the UK leaves with no deal, it will become a third country. So therefore, you'd have to resurrect a border between Northern Ireland and the Irish state, and that would cause real implications for the self-determination of people in Northern Ireland who regard themselves as Irish. Obviously, then there are other economic implications, trade, for example, cultural, political. So really the stakes are very, very high to get a deal in the next 2 weeks so the withdrawal agreement can go ahead and the British can have a transitional period so the future relationship can then be agreed.
And of course, time is running out on the whole Brexit negotiations. There's an EU summit in Brussels in 2 weeks' time. Tusk spoke out after the Conservative Party conference in the UK, where he wasn't very happy with the rhetoric. What happens next?
Well, really, there's less than 2 weeks because the next summit is happening on Thursday, 13 days away. And between now and then, the British have to table a new backstop agreement, which ensures that regardless of the future relationship between the EU and the UK, there will be no border on the island of Ireland, separating Northern Ireland and the Irish state. And so the Taoiseach said yesterday, who's the Irish Prime Minister, said that really the Irish government and the EU needs to see this new tabled initiative from the UK in the next few days, well in advance of the European Council meeting, in order for that withdrawal agreement to be signed off. So time is ticking away. And you mentioned there Donald Tusk. Of course, he was incredibly critical of the rhetoric coming from the Tory party conference this week, in particular the British Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt, who compared the EU to the Soviet Union. He said the Soviet Union was, of course, about gulags, prisoners, violence, walls, and he was a person who suffered under the Soviet Union, and he said it was unwise and ignorant in order to compare that. He also made the point that, emotive language is all very well to prove your point, but it doesn't bring any satisfaction when it comes to important deals that are really, really, required right now at this point.